Welcome, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here with Kathryn McIntosh from the UK. We've met her before. I am honored to be working with her to introduce you to lesson number 1. Kathryn has done charitable work all her life, notably by building with single-minded vision a hospital in Nepal that for the past 10 years has served over 30,000 patients where there had been no health facility at all. She obtained a master's degree in Buddhist philosophy and Asian studies and took vows as a nun, holding them from 2011 to 2021, studying with His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Like him, she embraces many Buddhist traditions and teachings. The lessons we will be learning for the next few sessions, Kathryn adapted for death row inmates all over the United States, whom she taught remotely and by correspondence from 2007 to 2013. Kathryn is also known as Venerable Lobsang Rinchen Khandro. Kathryn, take it away.
Welcome to everyone. We will begin by speaking on one of my favorite subjects, the 6 perfections, or in Sanskrit, it's paramitas. One of the things that I do before I start any lesson is to set the motivation. The motivation prayer often that we use is Shantideva's motivational prayer. I won't say it for every single lesson, just as a time-saving feature, but on this occasion, we'll go ahead and read it so that you can hear it for the first time. The documents will be shared with you later, so you'll be able to get a copy for yourself. The prayer begins, may all beings everywhere, plagued by suffering of body and mind, obtain an ocean of joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or fall ill. May no one be afraid or be belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, may the deaf hear sounds, and may those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing and the hungry find food, and may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, and those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope and constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all those who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments, and whatever diseases in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And this is a heartfelt promise. It's one that I find it difficult to read out loud without wanting to cry, because I mean it from my very core. It's the reasons why the 6 perfections are so very important to me. This is a call to action, a heartfelt wish that is so deep that if you weren't to do something to help someone, you would fear that your heart would burst. That's how deep this goes. Perfection is not always about being perfect without error or flaw. It's not the perfection that we think in mainstream media or on television or in movies. For humans in this life, this is a cause of hurt. What we believe all too often that we must be perfect. And instead, this teaching is about cultivating the practice of perfecting. The mind changing and thinking, relating only to the self, is a mind that clearly is selfish and self-centered. Instead, it's to change the mind so that not only do we care for ourselves, but we care for others in the same way. This is speaking about equanimity. That's a different lesson, and I'll teach you that later. It's freeing our limited mind and becoming expansive and open. When we speak of generosity or giving, we usually think of gifts, especially around Christmas time or birthdays or celebrations. We think of giving money, material possessions, and certainly these are some of the features within the teaching of the paramitas, because this is where we begin. The reason that this generosity is taught first in the paramitas is because it's the easiest for us to understand. And also, generosity touches all the other 5 perfections. So once you perfect generosity, you are also perfecting the other 5 at the same time. When we think of generosity, we often are very limited when we think, again, it's about developing that expansive and open mind. So we give our fully from our hearts, our ideas, the color of our life, our laughter with others every day. This too is generosity. When we give fully without attachment to the deed, there's no expectation for reward and therefore no disappointment. If we give expecting a reward, we can become angry, resentful, and might even stop giving altogether. When we give, it's often from our heart. And so that's why the pain is so sharp. The most precious part of ourselves is our heart. And in fact, generosity becomes a very intimate act. We gently dance with others, hoping that they will see us as good or worthy of their trust. We want them to like us. We gain their love as a reward. But sadly, thinking this way will only lead to heartbreak and unhappiness because these expectations are often not met. We have then diminished the gift of our joy by being attached to our good deed, and this comes from the ego. We expect a reward, we don't receive it, and then we lose heart. So when we practice generosity, it is about expanding the mind. In Buddhism, the paramitas are teaching you the path to enlightenment. But we also can begin with the idea of just improving ourselves to begin with. So for the lay person, it's important to remember this, that the teachings will go deeper when you are a monastic, but as a lay person, they can benefit you also. When we give free from reward, begin to free ourselves from disappointment, we end up enjoying giving so much more. We remain enthusiastic and content with the results, no matter what they are. We don't worry about our gift not being good enough or it being rejected. Even if it is rejected, we try to deal with our disappointment by saying, you did the best you could. And that is all that is asked of any of us. Our motivation, therefore, remains pure and our efforts remain joyful. If you struggle to think of generosity in this way, think of a moment when you're with a child. You give to those children and you don't expect them to be grateful. You don't expect them to say anything for feeding them their morning cereal. You don't expect them to say, thank you, mommy, for getting me dressed for school. You don't do it. You do it simply because it's the right thing to do. There's no expectation. So why then impose those expectations on the adults that you come across? In fact, it can be kind of creepy to think that your children need to say, yes, mommy, thank you for getting me dressed this morning. That's a bit odd. So our reward is a happy family. And it's not a perfect family. It's filled with flaws and the colors of the ups and downs, the highs and lows that everyone experiences in life. But when you give freely, there is abundance, and that abundance remains regardless of how good or bad a day that you've had. It's being open and changing our minds as to what we think generosity actually is and what it looks like. We remain balanced in our actions. We give all we have, but we give with a limitation, a wise limitation. Because if you give everything that you have, then there's nothing left for tomorrow, is there? So you must hold back just a little bit. You keep a little bit for the next day. Keep your ideas generating and being fed. There's no use in planting all of your plants, harvesting them, and never have any seeds left to plant them some more, because you will starve. Generosity is the same way. You need a little bit of extra left over for you to continue the progress that you're making. The paramitas, just to go over them quite briefly, are generosity, morality and ethics, patience, motivation, which is your good effort, meditation, and wisdom. Now, the ones that I don't teach will be wisdom, because wisdom is dealing with fully enlightened Buddhahood. It is teaching about the nature of reality, and there are variances from school to school, from lineage to lineage, on what that means. So I tend not to teach that. Meditation is, of course, all by itself. It's huge and it takes a lot of practice. There's many different types of meditation, so that one will be left by itself. The main goal, however, for laity is freeing oneself and from cyclic existence. When you start talking on a monastic level, this is attaining Buddhahood and full enlightenment. So we won't be teaching that side of it, that technical side. We will keep it on the layperson side to keep things simple. I have heard some people say, I'm happy. Why do I need to learn this? Why do I need to change? This comment, unfortunately, sounds a bit strange. It's coming from a place of ignorance. And that ignorance is not stupidity, but it's ignorance of not understanding the natural processes of life and birth, aging, death, and those things that happen in an impermanent state, that her happiness can't last. Now, I wasn't going to tell her that, because that's not the way we learn. What's important is somebody who believes in this, allow her to have the happiness that she's holding on to, but allow her also to understand that it's not reliant on just herself alone. It's other people in her life, the teachers she comes across, her friends, her family. One day, they will leave. They will die. We live a life that is impermanent, and then her happiness will end. Her happiness will fluctuate from day to day. So when you understand the nature of reality and that all things are impermanent, then it encourages us to practice generosity and perfect that openness, that embracing of others, to make sure that our happiness is as vibrant as it possibly can be, even during bad times. The meditation I will share is looking at your mind and developing non-clinging, which is a giving from a no-ego state. This type of generosity is looking for no reward. And it's asking you, what is it that I am generous with? Think for a moment. When was the last time you were generous? What did you do? What did you say? What happened? And what were your expectations? Were you angry? Were you sad when they didn't say thank you enough? When they weren't grateful and pushed your gift away from them, saying, I don't like it? Were you hurt? Why was it that you were giving to them in the first instance? That's important. The ego is very strong. It demands reward. It wants us to be recognized as super people, as, oh, she's so good, or she's so beautiful, or she is this or that. So examine your motivation. All of these practices that I will teach are down to your motivation. What is my motivation? Why am I giving? Why am I being patient? Why am I being kind? Why am I being loving? It might seem a silly question, but it's worth looking at it, because when you know the purpose that you go in there with, and you know that it's not involving your ego, then you can free yourself from that attachment. And then your generosity becomes limitless. You don't need to be rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy. Generosity is unbounded. There's always new ideas that you can come with, ways that you can be generous, ways that you can be kind. But first, you start with yourself. Because if you cannot be generous to yourself, you cannot be generous to others. So, first thing to say is, I will be generous to this person. Why? What is my motivation? So now we will step into the meditation, and I'll walk you through it. Several stages. We'll do 1 minute each section. And I want you to take nice deep cleansing breath first, 3 times, 1 in and 1 out, just to relax your body. Remove all the tension from your body. You can close your eyes or open them, whichever way is most comfortable. Try not to be distracted by things around you and focus on the inner self. We'll start small and simple. I am being generous. That's your mantra. And just believe in that. Build on that. I am becoming generous. Valued, and I value others equal with myself. I wish with all my heart that this is good. Stop there and don't follow any more thoughts, and I'll be quiet for a moment. Motivation is key in all acts of kindness. Let go of any negativity, any thought of pride. Instead, think, I will do my best. Give the joy away that you have with every breath in and out. Generosity is more than material things, more than protection, more than sharing the Dharma. They are mere foundations, the first step. Opening the mind and opening the heart, you free yourself from your ego. You admit your flaws, but they will not stop you from doing your best. Think of something you did that was generous. Stay with that one thing. If you can't think of anything, then remember the last time you went to a park and drank in the bright sunlight and enjoyed the soft rain. With gratitude, you give this happiness to yourself. Your voice and on your face, people can see that generosity resonating. So in this way, your experiences show on the body and are shared. think of a time where your generosity was rejected. Felt like it was a failure, but instead embrace that you tried your best. Be open and wish the best for them. Your invitation was kindness. So be still and hold this close in your mind. Think, what if I'm poor? I'm too sick. I can't find a way to even leave my house. Then meditate that this wish would benefit others somehow. That your heart would burst if you do not find an opportunity. This opportunity will arise if your wish is strong. This wish should come from a sense of selflessness that is a benefit for others as well as your own happiness. Hold this in your mind gently. Finally, dedicate your acts of generosity, your wish, your heartfelt motivation. Promise that you will do your best to be gentle with yourself and with what you give. Let go of the wish for fame. Let go of the desire for thanks or gratitude. Rejoice that you tried your best. Rejoice that you have come across something that will help you be more open and more kind to yourself and to others. You are here now, helping your mind, and that's wonderful. Dedicate it all to every being in every direction, north, south, east, west, up, down, inward and outward, beings seen and unseen. This is how to dedicate. Meditation is now complete. The joy remains, and this is wonderful. I'm happy I've been able to share this with you in my own simple way, and I pray you find it useful. Sandra, unmute yourself. If you have any questions, we can do a Q&A if you like.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. This practice resonates so much with me. Can you speak more about examining one's motivation so that it's pure, so that it really comes from your heart? almost bursting is what you said, with the desire to be generous.
I can. Motivation is a very integral part of all these practices within the six perfections. Matter of fact, you could say it's the most important part, because if your motivation is to seek fame or reward, you're going to find yourself disappointed and disillusioned because you won't always get those results. Your motivation to develop this clearly is to sit and be honest with yourself, be brutally honest. Why am I doing this? Why do I go out and volunteer? It's hard work volunteering, and it's hard work to go out and help others. People that are carers know this all too well, that they give and they give and they give, and they get very little reward for it. So, what is it that keeps you going? What is it that makes you want to do these things? That motivation is essential. And when you look at it from the point of a sense of equanimity, equanimity is that where you think that your thinking is changed from you just being selfish and you helping yourself. It's that others want to be happy like you do. They want to be free from suffering. They want to be free from harm and painful things in their lives. And if there's a way that you can help them to get to that point, then it's something that you should try to do with your full being, as if that was your own child, your own family. And the truth is that we are family. Sandra, you're my sister, you're my family. That's how I see you. And for me, it's very natural. Now, for some people, it's difficult to do that. So, one of the things in the practice of generosity is to start slowly with baby steps. A monk was very motivated, but he found it difficult to get started. So, he had a bag full of white stones, bag full of black stones. And he would take them one by one and move them from one bowl to the other, one at a time, thinking about his motivation, thinking about his generosity. Why am I doing this? Why? And that physical act helped him become mentally more more inspired to be generous. So with some people it's easy, other people it's not, and that's not a criticism or anything else. We just have different aspects. We're born with different kind of natural tendencies that we have. That some things are easier for us. For me, patience is a really big thing. So generosity is easy, patience isn't. So patience, I have to practice and really have to put myself forward when I'm practicing patience. So you'll find that as you go through and look at your reasons why, honesty is the first point. And it's a very, very hard thing to admit. If I give my sister this nice sweater for Christmas, I want her to like it. I want her to hug me. I want her to kiss me and say, what a wonderful sister I am. What if she doesn't like it? So you're not giving it to her so that you're giving of yourself. You're giving because you want that reward back. And so you can have to really, really be honest with yourself and really say, why am I doing this? And to answer that honestly is a very, very hard question to face up to. That's where the meditation helps, where you sit with yourself and you go, okay, why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? Your ego does come into it because you're the one who has to do it. And it's not like killing your ego, because a lot of people think that, oh, I have to remove everything that is I in my life. That's not healthy. And so that part of it is about achieving that balance between who I am, who I want to be, who I want to become, and what I need to share with others so that I can walk away from it. Like I was telling you before about that house, the hospital in Nepal, I never touched a stone. I never stepped in the walls of it. I was there during the construction, but I left before it was finished. I've never actually been inside that building. So I had to walk away. I had to leave that whole thing. It's huge. It was hard to do. And I will say that it's hard. But And these things are worthwhile when it's challenging your thinking about how selfish you can be in various sneaky little ways. You'll think, oh, I wanted them to be happy about this. And you catch yourself. And that's when you're learning no. So when you see that, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing because you're starting to learn.
That's very helpful. That's really helpful. It is hard work, isn't it?
I have spent since I started in Buddhism in 1997, and I still don't know everything that there is to know. I mean, this is thousands and thousands of years old of teachings that are so complex. It's amazing. It's something that there's always something new to learn, but about yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, where you have let yourself down, um, can be quite soul destroying sometimes. So it's important also to be gentle with yourself and find that's where patience comes in. Patience talks about loving kindness to yourself as well. Um, and I can be very critical on myself when I make a mistake and think, oh, shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have said, oh, and see, just let it go. It's not important. Just let it go. Nobody else is worried about it. You're making yourself suffer when you do that. Nobody's doing it for you.
Shall we have any homework before we close? Anything you want us to think about before the next?
It switches back to me. Practice the meditation. Um, do it just short 1 minute sessions. Don't go any longer than that. 3 minutes maximum if you've done meditation before. The reason I say that is because you're doing something new for the first time. Your little baby granddaughter, your little baby daughter did not get up off the floor and start running first thing. She took baby steps. She crawled first. She did the little scooty thing back on her bum, the little crabby thing, which is really cute. I love that when they do it. And it isn't her expectation that she was going to get up and walk. She was just doing it. So just do it. Don't have expectations when you go into meditation. Just sit with yourself saying, I'm going to meditate because it just feels nice. And then you think, okay, well, I'm going to think about the lesson that Kathryn taught me, about this one sentence she said. Pick something that resonates with you. There's no right, wrong, whatever, because each one of us individually have our own things that we need to work with. So sit with that for a little bit. And when you're done, remember to dedicate it to the benefit of yourself and everybody around you, everybody that you meet, and look for those little tiny moments of generosity. You'll see them. You'll see them happening all around you. Somebody holds a door for you at the shop, or you might do it for somebody else, or you give up parking space for somebody. Or instead of getting angry at somebody at a shop who shortchanged you, you think, I think you made a mistake. Can we talk about this? And keep that generosity of kindness right there where you can hold on to it. And as you practice, you think it becomes easier and easier. It becomes second nature. You will instantly think that. I sat in a park one afternoon, and gratitude was something our teacher was teaching us one time. And it was so hot. And all of a sudden, there was this whiff of cool air that came past me. I thought, oh, thank you. And it was nothing. It was just nature doing its thing. But that was my first thought, was to be grateful for just those little things, because all of those little things add up. It's like when you think of, a drop of water fills an ocean. It does. It's true. And so every single little drop of generosity helps other people be generous. They'll see you as generous. That's not your goal, but it just happens by itself. And then they may ask you, how come you don't get upset about this? How come you don't do this? And you think, well, I learned this thing. Not too preachy or anything, but just the curiosity, give them a short answer and just saying, well, it helped me, and leave it with them. They heard you. You don't need to tell them they have to do it. It's not recruiting people to Buddhism or anything, but it's just about expressing your feelings in a way that it brings up curiosity. And so maybe they would look it up later. And but the thought's there, your voice is there. They still remember you, whether you think they do or not.
That's a beautiful lesson. Thank you. Would you like to have a closing before we're finished?
One of the things that I do as a closing is we did the dedication in the meditation, um, but to just say this, that during these courses, always, try to set your motivation as, I just want to be free of suffering. I want to learn how to be more peaceful, and keep that in your mind as you practice. And when you dedicate, you're dedicating to yourselves and to others. And so what I usually say is, by my merit, and that's my actions, my karma, may all beings benefit. Anyone who hears this going forward, I may not know them, I may never meet them. That's okay. It doesn't matter. I don't need to. It's just that I've put it out into the universe, and whoever's meant to see it will see it. And I only pray that it does them good, that what I try to do does no harm, and that they see it from a sense of me just being a sister human being trying to help my family. And so that's my dedication always, personally, for me.
So may it be. Thank you so much, Kathryn. I'm going to stop the recording